All right. Welcome back to the Draft Podcast, part of the Gem City Sports Podcast Network. I'm your host, Paul Adamczak, and today we're showing some love to the trenches. No skill position drama. Oh, it's gonna play again. All right, we're off and running. Just pure unfiltered offensive line talk. Not as flashy as the quarterbacks, perhaps, or the wide receivers like Travis Hunter. But guess what? Those guys can't do a damn thing if they don't have guys up front keeping them upright. The Big Uglies, as they're called, the Hogs, five-star buffet line, really the unsung heroes who make or break an offense and never get the credit. And if that doesn't get you excited, well, then maybe football just isn't for you. But this is what we're talking about. This year's class is hella deep, has some legit talent, also has some huge question marks. I'm going to break down today 11 prospects, okay? I had to limit it to 11. I have like 5,500 words in 3 Word documents. So 3 true NFL tackles, 5 guys who might think they're tackles but should probably move inside, and 3 true interior linemen, might be plug-and-play starters from day one. Who's got the makings of a franchise left tackle? Who's going to be the next great mauler at guard? Which guy has no business at all being drafted into the NFL that Chris Reed is going to trade up and grab? So sit back, grab a snack, maybe something carb heavy to honor the big fellas, and let's get into it. As I said, offensive linemen don't often get the highlights, but they do dictate everything that happens on the field. A great offensive line makes life easier for everyone. Quarterbacks have time to throw, running backs have lanes to run through, and play callers have the freedom to run their full playbook. A bad offensive line, and well, that's how you end up with quarterbacks seeing ghosts, running backs getting tackled before they hit the line of scrimmage, and offensive coordinators looking for new jobs by the end of December. At the tackle spots, blindside protection is king. The NFL is loaded with freak athletes at the edge. Think guys like Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, guys who can ruin a run game in a hurry if the left tackle can't hold his own. But even anymore, right tackle isn't just for run blockers. Defenses have moved their best pass rushers around, left, right, center, so you need bookends who can keep your QB upright no matter where the pressure's coming from. On the interior, run game dominance starts with the big men up front. The best running backs in the league even will tell you they're only as good as the guys blocking for them, except maybe Saquon. It doesn't really matter who's blocking for him. But he just so happens to have the best line in front of him, so take that for what you will. The difference between a 5-yard gain and a 2-yard loss, a guard getting just enough leverage on a defensive tackle, or a center who's able to climb to the second level to secure that block. Look at what teams like the Eagles have done in the run game, and it all starts with elite offensive line play. And then there's versatility. NFL offensive lines actually, statistically, are dealing with more injuries than ever, and teams value guys who can slide between positions. So if a tackle can kick inside a guard, or if a center can also play guard, that flexibility makes a huge difference and can help guys make the final 53-man roster. The more spots you can play, the more valuable you are, and NFL front offices are coming to see that more and more. So before I get into the prospects themselves, how does this year's O-line class stack up to previous year's draft classes? Well, compared to recent drafts, this offensive line class has good depth, but really lacks that clear-cut elite prospect at the top. You've got some really intriguing talent, but I guess no one who is universally seen as a generational prospect, one of those scouting terms you hear every year. That being said, this is a deep group. We've got 3 true tackles who could hear their names called early, but at least a couple of them come with question marks, whether it's footwork, length, or injury questions. That's not just a knock, it's a reality in the NFL, and some guys dominate in college at tackle, but lack the elite traits needed to hold up against NFL pass rushers. On the interior, this class has a couple of guys who could be day one starters. The center group in particular, though, is a little thin. So if your team who needs help up the middle, you might have to strike early or develop that mid-round guy. Bottom line, this year's OL class is solid, but teams will need to be smart about projection. There's talent here, but some guys will need time to develop, and others will need to find the right fit to maximize their potential. It's a class that could produce multiple long-term starters, but might take a little more scouting nuance to find the right ones, and that's where we come in here at the Draft Podcast. I want to start out now with I'm going to call my top three. So I should preface all this by saying I looked at a lot of tackles. I'm one of the few people that watched the whole Senior Bowl this weekend. I'll admit I did fall asleep for a little bit in the third quarter. I missed the Jalen Milroe reps. It sounds like I didn't miss much, but I was watching for offensive line, and we had some guys that really stood out. Some guys that I had high hopes for that fell flat in game, and some names. The beauty of the Senior Bowl, how good Jim Nagy does, he finds names from small schools that can legitimately play at the NFL. So we have some new guys who I was able to add to the list on Saturday, research Sunday, and last night, and sort of fine-tune tonight. But I want to start with my top three, and these guys are tackles. There is no particular order. I have a guess who will go first out of the three, but I'm going to give them to you in no particular order. I'm going to go with tackles who should be guards, and then one guy who I think is probably the best center. So my true tackles, and it's a guy who a lot of people say may be a guard in the NFL. I don't think so. I think he may play guard early, but eventually he'll be a starting tackle. His name is Kelvin Banks from the University of Texas, 6'4", 320 pounds. I'm going to try to do about 90 seconds to 2 minutes per prospect, so we can kind of keeps myself from talking too much. So here's my outline: strengths, weaknesses, and then my overall report. I'll start with the strengths, talking Kelvin Banks from Texas. Versatile. I mentioned that. Can play tackle or guard. I wrote down Laramie Tunzel as an example, a guy who played guard early, but will eventually get a chance to play tackle because of his elite movement skills. He's just, at 6'4", 320 pounds, seeing guys move as smoothly as a dude this size does, that's what you're looking for in tackles. He's an easy athlete. Under strengths, elite pass protector, easy mover, smooth sets, refined hands, natural anchor, which is why he'll play so well at guard, because he can run block. Explosive power, devastating in the run game. At tackle, you want a guy who can get his hands on somebody and just move that defensive end out of the way. Can get to the second level, reach outside linebackers, double team and get to the second level. He moves really well. Explosive power. Another strength, football IQ. You can see it. He's a quick processor, uses his hands real well, handles stunts and blitzes with ease. He makes playing offensive line easier when you got a guy like him playing next to you. And the final strength is, I'm going to say, he's battle tested. He dominated against guys who played at Michigan, Alabama. You saw him in the the playoffs this year. Was obviously the best offensive lineman on a top 4 team in the country. He'll go early. So weaknesses. There are length concerns, and this is a bit of a stretch, but they say 6'4" may limit him versus long edge rushers. They want the tackles to be 6'7", 6'8". The longer the better. They want the long arms. They want the wingspan. He's only 6'4". And then another weakness, you talk about consistency. His consistency to anchor. He's going to need to refine his technique, especially against power rushers. The NFL guys are stronger, so he's going to have to kind of prove himself to be as adept at being a run blocker in the NFL. His pass protecting is going to be fine. So the overall report, this guy's a high floor, possibly high ceiling beast. Plug and play guy, Pro Bowl potential at either spot. He's got tackle traits, like I said, the way he moves, but it would be a dominant guard if tackles for some reason shouldn't work out. He's a safe pick. He's a day one impact starter. I have him with a solid first round grade. So that's my first tackle. Second tackle in order of prospects I'm going over, but I think this guy might actually be the best offensive lineman in this class. Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU, 6'6", 325 pounds. Premier size. Under his strengths, polished in pass protection, patient, strong anchor, precise hand placement. He's not just kind of reaching. He's not just stabbing. He knows where to put his hands. He's very consistent with that placement. And once he gets them there, he's able to stay there without holding per se. So very strong, very good hands, especially in pass protection. He's nasty. I have finisher, highlighted, bolded, underlined. Relentless run blocker, drives through the whistle. As a coach, this is the kind of guy that he's not going to give up before the play is over. So it's not just, 1, 2, 3, run my feet. Okay, my block's probably done. And then he lets off just a hair too early and the running back cuts back. No, this guy's waiting for the whistle. He's blocking until you tell him he's not allowed to block anymore. And then he still may give you another second or two. Another strength, elite recovery. This goes back to athleticism, quick feet, core strength, his ability to reset after initial losses. You're going to take losses in the NFL. You're going to take multiple losses per rep. He hits you with the move, you got to recover. He hits you with another move, the counter move, you got to recover. He shows the feet of an elite athlete. Again, at that size, very, very good. Another guy you can say football IQ. It's hard to fool him. Handles stunts, blitzes, and pressure packages with ease, consistently. You talk about grip strength. Again, to run blocking, once this guy latches on, it is a struggle for defenders to disengage. And finally, this is big. He's a 3-year starter in the SEC. So you're talking about proven experience versus proven competition. He's seen a lot of guys who he's going to see at the next level. Weaknesses. He is the best tackle in the class, but I said he's not elite compared to years past. Arm length. He's not, an 83, 84-inch wingspan guy. He could struggle versus long-armed edge rushers. The NFL is full of freaks. That's who they want. Sometimes he tends to overset versus speed rushers. He kind of knows his weaknesses, and smart rushers can kind of set him up with that. All right, I'm going way out, so he has a tendency to overstep, and they hit him with the counter so they can go inside a little bit easier. He had a tendency. It didn't happen very often, but it's something that you can see on tape that NFL guys will definitely want to take advantage of. A weakness, pad level. Sometimes he plays a little bit high at the second level, which leads you to a tendency to whiff on especially those athletic linebackers, guys who are usually going to be smaller than you, a little bit more athletic. He's athletic for a guy his size. He's not as athletic as a guy who's 6'2", 250, 6'2", 240 even in the NFL, those smaller linebackers that can just kind of put a move on. And then the final weakness, and you'll see this in every scouting report, every scout should mention this, lunging issues. I think this is probably why he's not the elite. He does have a tendency to guess, and if on the rare occasion that he does kind of get beat, he doesn't have that, okay, I'm going to stick with it and try to get my feet in the right spot. He's just going to lunge at you. He's just, all right, I missed. Hoo-ah, I'm going at it. If I sink or swim, and oftentimes it leads to a sink, and then you're kind of -1 in the run game. So the overall report, day one starter, rock solid pass pro, road grader in the run game. I mentioned battle tested, high floor left tackle, absolute Pro Bowl upside, maybe a potential all pro. Not a guy you'd call a freak athlete, but a technical master. And you talk about the grit that make him a plug and play franchise left tackle. I think he goes top 10. So finally, in my offensive tackles, these are pure NFL tackles. I have Josh Simmons at Ohio State, 6'5", 310 pounds. We didn't see a whole lot of him this year. He got hurt week 2 to Oregon. So this is a guy, this is projection. We'll talk about strengths. And I mentioned it, his prototype build. Elite arm length, NFL frame, 6'5" plus, with room to add weight, add strength. So he's a lean 310 pounds. You talk about power, his ability to anchor, upper body strength, neutralizes bull rushers. Also able to generate some push in the run game. Very explosive off the snap. Quick first step, initiates contact before defenders react, which makes him a good run blocking tackle. He's also known as a jump set specialist. So this is a guy with elite foot speed who's able to shut down speed rushers with this really aggressive, get to the spot before you get there kind of smoke and mirrors move. It's awesome. Again, a guy 300 plus pounds, to see him move like a tiger, like a cat. It's really special. It's freaky, which is why he'll be a first round guy. Battle tested. He looked good against Michigan. He looked good against Abdul Carter last year. He does have positional flexibility. He's played at both left and right tackle. So even if he goes to a team that's got maybe a left tackle on the back end of their career, he can shift over to the right side for a year or two, eventually get back to the left. He can play both sides. And a final strength, he's a second level dominator. Again, this is because of the overwhelming athleticism for the tackle spot. Linebackers and safeties don't stand a chance. This guy is huge. He is athletic. If he gets his hands on you, you're done for. Weaknesses. This guy was a penalty machine. basically two years and 2 games, he had 25 holding penalties. Although that went significantly down from freshman to sophomore year. You'd like to hope it would have gone down further this year, but numbers are numbers. Sometimes had an issue with hand placement. Wide rushers can get into his chest a little easily. I talked about the jump set. That's feet, but the hands can kind of get a little wonky. They talk about foot speed concerns. This is mirroring twitchy edge rushers. That jump set move is kind of like a one-trick pony. If you've got a super twitchy guy who can go out in real quick, he can get beat on that. A little bit of an inconsistent base. Again, this is going back to when he's a sophomore. He's 18, 19 years old. Has a tendency to overextend, losing balance and control. And then finally, it's highlighted, bold, and underlined. ACL injury, season-ending tear versus Oregon, clouds the draft stock. You just don't know. Medical science is much better today than it was even 10 years ago, but maybe he needs another year. Maybe you don't get him really into camp until midway through the season if things don't go absolutely perfect in the recovery period. So you just don't know. But the overall report, you're looking at an explosive, powerful tackle with an NFL-ready frame, an elite upside, strong anchor, violent hands, nasty streak in the run game. May need a little technical refinement and penalty discipline, but this is a high first-round pick if the medicals check out. And even if they don't, even if it's that, hey, look, we might get a red shirt as a rookie year. I don't think he makes out outside of the top 25. He's a first-round pick for sure. Elite tackle athlete. So those are my 3 true tackles. Now I'm going into this in between here. It's called tackles who are probably guards. More and more you see in the NFL year by year, tackles, or I should say former college tackles, playing guard, playing center. I think Connor Williams with formerly the Dolphins, now the Seahawks, was a tackle at Texas. The Eagles, both their guards. Landon Dickerson was a tackle at Florida State. The other one, Becton. I can't think of his first name. Mekhi Becton. He plays their right guard. He was a tackle at Louisville, first-round pick of the Jets, I believe, to play tackle. Didn't make it at tackle. Moved him inside to guard because he's an elite athlete. Tackle's harder to play than guard. Couldn't hack it at tackle, but has made a really, really fine guard due to his body type. So these are college tackles who I think, because of their measurables, are guards in the NFL. And I will start with this guy. He was the practice player of the week at the Pro Bowl. Not the Pro Bowl, the Senior Bowl this past weekend. Gray Zabel, offensive tackle out of North Dakota State. 6'5", 305 pounds. This guy's a versatile starter in the FCS. Experience at left tackle, right tackle, and left guard, with potential to play multiple spots in the NFL. Athletic, fluid. He has quick, light feet, a natural knee bender, and a smooth kick, slide, and pass protection. Once again, talk athleticism. High football IQ. You saw it all season long. Diagnoses stunts, blitzes, and inside counters with ease. Very technically sound. Good job of keeping his pad square. Mirrors edge rushers well. Sustains blocks through the whistle. A guy you can consider a second-level weapon, as he was effective in space, mobile as a pulling lineman, a lot of GT counter up there at North Dakota State, and he thrives in zone schemes, which is sort of that Shanahan tree. Think McVay, think McDaniel, obviously Kyle Shanahan out of the 49ers, up in Green Bay. Guys off that Shanahan tree, those are zone blocking systems. So very, very popular in the NFL. You need movers. And Zabel was very, very good at it. Tough and nasty is the last thing I have under strength. Competitive motor, always looking for work. Something coaches like to say, you love that in your athletes, and looks to finish blocks. So he's not just looking to move the guy, he's looking to win the rep. Okay. Weaknesses for Zabel, obviously FCS jump concerns. He must prove he can handle elite power and speed at the NFL level. Once again, did a great job at the Senior Bowl this past week, kind of proving that. I thought he answered a lot of questions this weekend. Play strength, 305 pounds. He needs to add mass and improve functional ability. Once again, I think he's going to move to guard. So I think he's going to have to put on 10, 15, 20 pounds to be an everyday, every down guard at the next level. Sometimes you could say hand usage issues, tends to catch rushers instead of delivering a strong punch. that can lead to the get off. Once again, I think that's kind of one of the reasons to be a guard as opposed to a tackle. Talked about block accuracy, occasionally whiffs, possibly due to dropping eyes into contact. When you drop your head, you have a tendency to, okay, the contact's going to be here. And then you got a guy on the other side who's keeping his eyes on you, sees you drop your head, and is going to be able to move laterally just a little bit to help you whiff. And then they talked about that leads to chest exposure. Hands land outside the framework, leaving him vulnerable to power moves. If you're trying to catch, that guy's just going to go center inside. Football's a leverage game. Low man wins, and inside helps. So the overall report on Gray Zabel: athletic, high IQ lineman with positional flexibility and strong pass pro skills. Quick feet and awareness make him an asset in zone schemes, as we mentioned. Needs to refine hand placement and add strength, but the Senior Bowl performance proved his ability. He was voted Practice Player of the Week. Something of note, he turned down a lot of money, a lot of that NIL money, just to stay at North Dakota State and win the FCS National Championship. So I think that speaks to character as well, something that often goes overlooked on scattering reports. Love Gray Zabel as a prospect. Might have worked his way into the first round. Not early first round, but he might be one of those guys between 26 and 32 that teams are moving around for. Okay, another college tackle I think will be better at guard in the NFL. Marcus Mabeau from Purdue, 6'4", 309 pounds. This is an athlete, man. Started both right tackle and right guard. Smooth mover, quick feet, flew with lower body. Versatility. He took snaps at center at the Senior Bowl practice. Looked good at center. So he's showing coaches he's not dead set at staying outside. He has positional versatility. He might be willing to play center at the NFL, which is interesting. Hand technique. He delivers potent strikes with good hand placement. Explosive into blocks, effective puller, good run block skills. Great outside zone guy. They noticed that at guard, how good he was getting outside, beating the tackle. That's when he was able to make the move from guard to tackle. Those zone concepts, kick out, combo blocks. He was very, very good. This is a very good athlete at his size. Competitive toughness, plays with an aggressive demeanor, always looking to finish, often throwing multiple blows in the same rep. So this is a twofer. He's always looking for work. And football IQ, processes stunts well, maintains solid leverage, able to manipulate rushers. So a high IQ, athletic guy at tackle. Weaknesses, basically, why I don't think he's a NFL tackle: length. Lacks the ideal arm length. 33 inches as measured at the Senior Bowl. So that is below the prerequisite length for tackles. You want 34 plus, 35, 36 ideally. Play strength and anchor, can be knocked back against power rushers sometimes. Struggles against strong interior defensive linemen. So he's going to need to lift some weights, get a little bit stronger at the next level. Has a tendency to overextend. Again, this is a tackle. Tends to dip his head, leads to inaccurate blocks, imbalance problems, as he was inconsistent in pass protection out on the edge. Overall report: he's a versatile, highly athletic offensive lineman with strong technical skills and a tenacious play style. His ability to play both guard and tackle will appeal to teams running zone-heavy schemes. However, concerns over his size, length, and lower body strength should push him inside to guard at the next level. If he refines his balance and adds functional strength, he has starting caliber potential early in his career with the ability to be a valuable swing lineman at a minimum. Talking about Marcus Mabeau from Purdue, another tackle who I believe should become a guard. All right, there's another one. I copy-pasted the wrong name, so hold on, let me grab notes here. This one is Armand Membou. Okay, from Ole Miss. This a late addition, so the scouting reports were a little bit off on the height and weight. He's anywhere in between 6'3" and 6'4", and somewhere between 314 and 332 pounds. Again, this dude was at tackle. He's going to move inside to guard. He was at tackle in college because a guy for his size is unbelievably athletic. He played right tackle and right guard. Potent strikes, good hand placement. Another guy who, even though he's got the size, lacks the ideal arm length and overall mass to play tackle. Let's see. footwork and balance, can be erratic in his base, leaving him susceptible to bull rushers, run blocking, aiming points, occasionally overruns targets, and anchor strength. He needs to refine his lower body power. And I wrote down the wrong name. So Armand Membou. High upside offensive line prospect with a unique blend of power, athleticism, and technical potential. 2-year starter at right tackle in Missouri's zone-heavy scheme. Physical profile and demeanor suggests he can start early in the NFL, whether at tackle or guard. He projects as an impact player in a zone-blocking scheme with maybe some Pro Bowl potential. Again, at that size, a little bit technically not great, but he was on... Oh, here it is. I was looking for it. He was on Bruce Feldman's freaks list for his rare combination of explosiveness and mobility. I was looking through my 5,500 words. So Bruce Feldman's freaks list. So at 6'4", 330, we'll say, he ran a 10-yard split in 1.63 seconds. He has a 32-inch vertical and had a 600-pound squat. Incredible. Absolute freak. Tackle in college, probably a guard in the NFL. And finally, so that was number 4. This is number 5 of tackles who should become guards. This one, I don't know. I wrote this and then watched the Senior Bowl and was a little bit surprised, but I still think ultimately this is where he'll end up. Talking Josh Conerly Jr., tackle from Oregon, 6'4", 313 pounds. Watching him throughout the season, watched a couple of Oregon games. A lot of guys on that team will be playing at the next level. Clearly, an NFL-capable offensive lineman. I think just because of his stature, he's going to be a guard. Now, they let him play. I anticipated them moving him to guard at the Senior Bowl to kind of show NFL coaches what he'll project to at the next level, but they let him stay at tackle. And it's kind of one of those, you can stay at tackle as long as you prove that you can continue to play tackle. And he continued to do so, and then started at tackle in that game and looked good at left tackle in that game. So maybe I was a bit premature moving him to guard. But again, that's why I put him in the category tackles who are probably guards. I could be wrong. I don't think so, but maybe. So Josh Conerly Jr. from Oregon, the strengths: athletic, fluid mover, quick feet, excellent redirection skills, a guy who excels in space, showing the ability to pull, climb, and wall off defenders at all levels. He is efficient in pass protection, showcasing consistent ability to beat pass rushers to the spot, strong mirroring ability, recovery skills, does a good job in slowing down counter moves. He recognizes when pass rushers are setting him up, and he does a good job at redirecting and staying in front of guys. Solid hand placement, ability to steer rushers. So that's not only like traditional drop back pass game, but that's also like screen game. And then just a point of note, allowed only 1 sack in 2023, played well at left tackle in Senior Bowl. Weaknesses: struggled to anchor against powered rushers. If you're on Twitter or any sort of clip like TikTok, I'm sure you saw the 1 rep against Mike Green, the defensive end from Marshall, went right through his face. And honestly, Conerly lost pretty good in that rep. Mike Green's going to be another first-round pick. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I don't take that as a negative to him overall. He lost against a guy he's going to see at the next level. Oh well, got to get better. Needs to add functional strength and improve lower body versus power, bigger defenders, such as Mike Green. His run blocking is good but inconsistent. Good technique but lacks the force to drive defenders off the ball. Need that NFL weightlifting program. Overall report: athletic, technically sound offensive lineman with strong pass pro skills and movement ability, quick feet, fluid, ability to mirror. So teams prioritizing mobility in their offensive linemen will flock to him. If he can improve his functional strength and anchoring ability, he'll be a quality NFL starter. So I think teams were a little bit higher on him at the beginning of the season as they are maybe now. I still don't think he leaves the first round. I think he's in that 20 to 32 range. I don't know if he'll get tackled in the NFL. Maybe. I think he's probably a guard. So that's it for those. So we did 3 tackles, 5 tackles who are probably guards. And my next segment here is called Guards. I've got, even though there's 3 guards in the name, I've got 2 guards that I'm breaking down. The first of which is a guy you may have heard of, Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. 6'4", 320 pounds. Talk about strengths. Thick, well-built frame, excellent functional strength and mass. Fires out of his stance, showing good leverage and balance. Tough, consistent, physical finisher, strong hand power. You talk about a guy whose ability to like jolt defenders. It's kind of really neat when you see him against, I'll say, less quality opponents, guys who you know won't play at the next level, how physically just dominant this dude is when those hands got on him and they just forcibly just move back, able to control opponents. Moves well for his size. So this is the guy who actually filled in for Josh Simmons at left tackle for Ohio State when he went down early on with the knee. So they moved an NFL guard out to left tackle. And I think really just to showcase how good he is. It showcases his high football IQ, consistently, effectively picks up stunts and blitzes, keeps his head on a swivel, I have underlined, and he anchors well against power rushers, even at tackle. So a very good run defender. Bodes well for an NFL guard. Weaknesses: inconsistent pad level at times, occasionally playing too high in space, can be grabby with his hands, something else that will help moving from tackle to guard. Shows some hip stiffness, one of the reasons he'll be a guard, not a tackle, and lacks the true length and agility to play tackle in the NFL, making him a true guard-only prospect. The overall report: Jackson is a physically imposing, technically refined guard with power, awareness, and anchor to succeed at the next level. He plays with an aggressive finishing mentality and has the athleticism to reach defenders at the second level. His ability to pass protect, generate movement in the run game, and diagnose defensive fronts should make him an early contributor. I expect him to be drafted in the mid to late second round as a plug-and-play guard. Okay, guard number 1. Guard number 2, and this is a large human being by the name of Miles Frazier, guard from Louisiana State University, 6'6", 335 pounds. Under strengths, I just have the word massive. Explosive first step, devastating run blocker, perhaps the best pure run blocker in this class. Strong hand placement, grip strength, shows excellent awareness to pick up stunts and blitzes, and a guy who is durable and reliable. 3-year starter, 37 career starts in the SEC, didn't miss time, didn't get injured, didn't miss games. So he just, hey, Frazier, you're going to be on the left side today. Okay, coach. Didn't matter. Weaknesses: plays too high at times, negating his natural power advantage. Footwork can be sluggish. This is something you call heavy feet. So maybe not a great pass protector, but really good in the run game. Needs to refine his pass protection technique against quicker interior rushers. That's going to be the bugaboo. He should be able to play early, but a guy you might hear his name in the habeas grabus area because quicker defensive linemen are going to get past him, and he might just have to grab him, put some hands on him, slow him down. So the overall report: Frazier is a physically imposing interior lineman who thrives in power run schemes. His size, strength, and aggressive mentality make him an asset in downhill run blocking. While his heavy feet limit his range and versatility, he projects as a reliable NFL guard, best suited for a team that values physicality over mobility. I'm looking at a mid-round prospect with early starter potential if he refines his pad level and footwork. Being on the inside of the NFL helps when you have good players around you. If he can at least, fix the feet a little bit, he should be fine. He should be fine as a mid-level starter. Finally, I know everybody came in just for the center rankings, so I have one center in a class that doesn't have many good interior defensive line or offensive linemen, and we pulled a name out, man. This guy played in the middle of nowhere, but he came out to the Senior Bowl, and he went from a guy on day 1, it was, hey, did you see 66? And then day 2, it was, hey, did you see Jackson Slater? And then it was day 3, it was, whoa, did you see who Slater was taking on today? fellow by the name of Jackson Slater out of Sacramento State. This is a guy who played tackle, probably will move inside to guard. They moved him inside to guard, but he took center snaps and looked good. Strengths of Jackson Slater: power and core strength, and exceptional ability to move defenders in the run game. True anchor. He showed an elite ability to absorb power rushers. Heard a scout say he just has a simple but unique ability. He gets low and stays in front of guys. That's it, man. That's pretty much what you have to do. His run blocking, excellent leverage, aggressive drive, ability to dominate at the point of attack, fluid lower body, just that natural ability to sink his hips and recover. That's what I mean when he's just able to get low and stay in front of guys. If you got loose hips and play with a low center of gravity, when you're 6'4" and you're going against defensive linemen who might be 6'5", 6'6", low man wins. And even if they beat you a little bit, his ability to sink and kind of reset and stay in front, he just does it so well. He'll be a starter at the next level. I think the snapping really helped him bring his value up. I think this is probably a 5th-round guy, maybe before the Senior Bowl. He's a top 100 prospect at this point. And another guy who showed pulling ability, again, a tackle in college, physicality, determination, and good feet as he moves inside. Some concerns, some weaknesses: pass protection. He did struggle with anticipation, particularly against the quicker rushers. Needed some better hand placement and recovery techniques. Again, he relies on that, just the low hips, which works a lot. He'll probably have to develop a few more moves, but he should be fine early on. Maybe a little bit in the lateral quickness area. He struggled against quick rushers. That limit his versatility in some schemes. And teams did say he might be a one-dimensional, more comfortable in power-based schemes than finesse-based schemes. But pass pro and downhill run, you could do a lot worse at center. So my overall report: Jackson Slater is a powerful, well-structured offensive guard with a strong base and a classic downhill run blocking skill set. His physical traits position him as a potential day one starter with immediate impact. His pass pro needs some refinement. A lack of lateral quickness can expose him in space. But despite these concerns, Slater showed he's a solid center prospect with Pro Bowl potential. So there you go. There's 11 prospects broken down. I gave you some rounds. I gave you some grades. I didn't give you everybody who I thought was good early. A couple of names that I wanted to talk about, but I try not to make this thing 3 hours long. Carson Vincent from Alabama A&M, 6'7", 315 pounds. This guy had the longest wingspan at the Senior Bowl, 83 3/4 inches. Wow. Really look forward to watching him in the game. He struggled mightily. 3 straight sets or 3 straight snaps. Bad, and really bad. Another name, Ernest Green III from Georgia, an intriguing prospect, tackle guard, 6'4", 320. Another LSU prospect, Emory Jones, another same thing. Maybe a tackle, maybe a guard, 6'6", 322 pounds. Expect him to be a day 2 guy. And another guy who played well, had a nice Senior Bowl showing, Josh Savanea out of Arizona, another offensive tackle, 6'5", 320. Played right tackle, maybe the best right tackle prospect in this draft. We'll see. Well, that's it. Thanks for tuning in for today's episode of the Draft Podcast. I hope you've got a better idea of this year's offensive line class has to offer, maybe your team. So now I want to hear from you. Who's an O-line prospect you like that I didn't mention? Hit me up on Twitter at RufusP88 and let me know who I should watch more of. Maybe we'll dive into your pick on a future episode. Next week, we're moving to a position that's garnered some attention recently, the running back class. It's deep, it's talented, and it might just be one of the most loaded groups in this entire draft. From dynamic playmakers to 3-down anchors, I'll break down the future stars of the backfield. You won't want to miss it. So make sure you're subscribed. That's all for today, folks. Thanks again for listening to the Draft Podcast. I'm Paul Adamsack, and I'll see you on Monday morning at 9 a.m. on 105.9 FM and TalkErie.com. Have a great night.